Hey y'all, gonna do some reading. Don't want to keep you waiting too long if you're caught up on what happens during the phone call. So we're gonna jump right on in. So Elvis called Lucy, sent her flowers. Next day called her, asked if it was Lucy. She said yes, then he hung up. So what's gonna happen? Can't wait. All right, it's August 1967. I couldn't sleep that night. Why did he call after all these years? How did he find me? Would he call back? Why did he hang up? Nothing but questions, tormenting questions. The next day at work was impossible. My mind was far, far away, 10 years in the past by a river in the fall. That night, my stomach was churning so much I couldn't eat. At 8:30, the phone rang. Hello? Lucy, is this you? Yes. This is John Jones. He paused. I paused. What could I say? Is this Lucy? Yes. Do you remember me? I couldn't speak. Are you there? Yes. Are you Lucy? Yes. Do you know who this is? Yes. I just found out where you are. Is it all right to talk to you? He sounded so unsure of himself. The confidence was missing. It's okay. Where are you? In L.A. I gotta see you, Lucy. We gotta talk. Please, please. He was pleading. Something was wrong. How? Please come out here. I have to talk to you. How are you? Fine, I said. The tears were rolling down my cheeks. How are you? Wonderful now. I've found you. I must see you. I don't think I can. Do you want me to come there? Jack walked into the room and was staring at me. No, please, I can't discuss it now. Can I call you tomorrow? Yes, that'll be much better, I said in a businesslike voice. Please be there. I'll call you at 10 in the morning, your time. Lucy, you'll be there, won't you? Yes, I promise. You sound so good. You have no idea how this makes me feel. Thank you. Tomorrow will be fine, Mr. Jones. I feel alive again, Lucy. Just hearing your voice. Tomorrow at 10, we must talk. Goodbye, Desiree. Who was that? Jack demanded. I told him it was someone from the Los Angeles Times calling about one of the promotions. I immediately went to bed in my separate room. So apparently they stay in separate rooms. I don't know, that just cracks me up. Another sleepless night. Why was Elvis so upset? What did he want with me? I wasn't the glamorous dancer he once knew, just a homemaker with 6 children. The next morning, I realized that if he called at 10 Texas time, he would have to get up at 8 his time. That was almost unheard of unless he was working on a movie or he had changed drastically. Maybe he was confused about the time. He wasn't. The call came precisely at 10. I was alone except for baby Jacqueline. Lucy? Yes. Are you alone now? I'm alone, Elvis. Oh, God, you sound so good. He was so emotional it sounded like he was crying. Bless. How are you? And how did you know where I was? There's so much happening to you. I have to see you. I must know some answers. I still feel the same about you. I love you. My dear Elle, I love you, but you're married. Your wife is going to have a child. What is there? You don't understand. I have to see you. I'd love to see you. There are many things to explain, things you didn't know. Come now, today. I'll arrange it. I can't. I have a concert Sunday, and I teach a Sunday school class. After that, I'll come. I'll get you a ticket and get a room. Don't worry. I'll call you next week. Don't change your mind. No, I want to see you too, but you don't have to make the arrangements. I'll take care of it. Same old Lucy, he said, laughing for the first time. That's good, baby. Can you make it Wednesday? Okay. I wish it were now. Today. You don't know what I've been through. They told me you died in a snowstorm. That nearly killed me. Then my mama died. He was choking up again. I lost everything. I didn't care about nothing no more. I had nothing, but you've come back. I have something again. There was a long pause. Baby, why didn't you call me? Why'd you let me hurt? There were so many stories. The other women. I thought you had changed. I'll never change. I wish nothing would ever change. Wednesday, baby, okay? Okay. Hey, before you hang up, tell me something. What happened to your accent? I almost didn't recognize you. It's gone. I studied hard to lose it. Why? You wouldn't understand. It made me self-conscious. Why? I loved it. I know you did, but sometimes a woman needs to be respected more than she needs to sound cute. What? Never mind. We'll talk about it later. Wednesday? Okay, Wednesday. Maybe I'll get it back by then. Can you do that? That will be great. I'm just kidding, silly, but don't worry. I still speak French quite well. Great. Okay, Wednesday. For the first time in 10 years, my heart was soaring. Just hearing his voice made me feel alive. I was so happy I forgot to ask him how he found me. That wasn't important. It was enough that he had. Okay, research. Mary Jo Webb worked at Silverstein's for 22 years. She said she ran into Lucy at the fashion market in Dallas in the mid-1960s and discovered that Lucy was alive and well. After that, all the girls at Silverstein's knew Lucy was in Dallas. Whenever anyone called and asked for her, we told them where she was. So that's probably what happened. She went back to Silverstein's, told everyone, hey, I saw Lucy. She's living in Dallas now. So then, whenever anyone called and asked for her, they told them she's in Dallas. So that pointed him to the right city, and then he was able to track her down. So that's probably what it was. But he also may have seen John Wayne, who confirmed she's in Dallas. And see, John Wayne had her phone number. Okay. So, oh my gosh, so much. So much to unpack before we move on. So he said right here, you don't know what I've been through. They told me you died in a snowstorm. So that was in, that spring or something? And then he takes Anita to Texas with him when he goes out to boot camp. And his mom comes out there, mom and dad. And then his mom died in August. And she's ended up, and Lucy's having a baby, but he doesn't know that. He thinks she's dead. So he lost his mom. He lost Lucy. That nearly killed me. That nearly killed me when he heard she died in a snowstorm. Then his mama died, and he was choking up. Elvis choked up quite a bit. He, I don't want to say was a crier, but he wore his emotions on his sleeve, and he teared up quite a bit. So, such a bless. He was choking up again. He said, I lost everything. I didn't care about nothing no more. And that would be how Elvis would talk. I've read quite a few things where he did double negatives. I love it. I love a good old Southern hick. Oh my gosh, I didn't care about nothing no more. I had nothing, but now you've come back. I have something again. And then he asked her, why didn't you call me? Why do you let me hurt? So he was hurting. And he's asking her, why did you let me hurt? Why didn't you call me? And then she said, well, there were all the stories of the other women. I thought you'd change. He said, I'll never change. I wish nothing would ever change. Elvis did not like change, and that is true. A lot of people have said that about him. He liked a lot of things to stay the same. He liked traditions. And so he says he wishes nothing would ever change. Change to him, I read this somewhere, change to him was negative. It's like when things changed, it was for the bad. So that's why he didn't want things to change. What was the other thing he said? says, I've got to talk to you, children. Wonderful. I must see you. I don't think I can do you. So he says, I'm alive again. You have no idea how this makes me feel. Oh, God, you sound so good. He was so emotional. It sounded like he was crying. I just try to imagine that because I've never seen him or heard him cry. So, that's definitely personal. And of all the pictures and videos that I've seen, I've never seen him crying or heard him crying. Now, there are some pictures when his mother passed. And there's one of him and his dad on the steps. And a lot of those are old pictures, so they're kind of blurry. But it looks like there might be a tear going down his cheek in one of those pictures. And he definitely has a sad look. But boy, they talked about when he went to the hospital, when she died, when he got in the hospital and his dad came out of the room, he fell down to his knees. He collapsed down to his knees. And some of his guys that were working for him were there and said they'd never heard the wailing that anything like what they heard when his mama died. And I just can't imagine how upset he was. But anyway, so, all right, so let's go on. So we're going to go on. Elvis didn't sound like he had changed at all. He was so nostalgic. He wanted everything and everybody to remain as they were. In his mind, change meant going from good to bad. He was determined to act the same, live in the same city, and surround himself with family and other familiar faces from his youth. That's why he was disappointed about my accent. But his had changed too. He was less Memphis and more Los Angeles than ever. I wonder how he'd react if I asked him to start speaking Mississippi again. That made me laugh, the happy, gleeful laugh of a schoolgirl in love. Will you start speaking Mississippi again? These thoughts diverted my mind temporarily from the real problems that soon made my head spin. What were we doing? Did I want to get involved again? Should I back out? We were both married. What was the point? Then I remembered a young man a long time ago who gently placed a ring of purple flowers in my hair. Let's be together like this forever, he had said. I'll love you and only you, no matter what happens. I'll love you forever. The concert that Sunday was a small affair at the Melrose Hotel in Dallas. The recital was a part of the opera lessons I was taking, a chance to let the students perform in public. They had the concerts about every 4 months or so in one of the ballrooms, and about 200 people attended. The instructors asked me to MC the affair, probably because everyone else was so nervous they couldn't speak. I enjoyed it and introduced a number of novices with real talent. This Sunday, I sang some songs. And This Is My Beloved, Make Believe, and Adele's Laughing Song. For the first time in many years, the words meant something to me. The next evening, the family was gathered around the dinner table. That was a routine in my house we held sacred. We would all gather for dinner and discuss the day. I explained to everyone that I had to go on a business trip and would be gone for a few days. I need to depend on all of you, can I? They assured me they were dependable. Deborah was 18 and Melody 16, so they were put in charge. Won't Dad be angry if you go off to sing? Melody asked. I explained that it wasn't that kind of business and said everything would be okay. Mommy, can I go with you? Desiree asked. I'll be good. She was 9 and so beautiful. It will be so wonderful to take her. Maybe one day. 9 years old. 9 years that she hasn't been with her dad, her real dad. 9 years that Elvis has missed out on being with her. Crazy. The next day, I went to church and prayed for guidance. My mind was confused about what to do. Maybe it was wrong to go. Elvis called that night and told me to come on Thursday instead of Wednesday. We compromised on the arrangements. I paid for the flight while he got the room. He said there was a hotel in Beverly Hills that had a private entrance. That sounded good to me. Wednesday night was a disaster. I needed to sleep in order not to look old and craggy when we met. But my mind was spinning out of control. So many fears and worries. I was 30 years old. Elvis's image of me was frozen at 16. Would he be disappointed? The next morning, I went to the linen closet, reached behind the towels, and pulled out a small paper bag. In it was a bottle of the Dream shampoo. I had stockpiled a few bottles in case it went off the market, which it did. I washed my shoulder-length hair, then brushed it 1,000 strokes to make it shine. My hands were shaking so I could barely get my makeup on straight. I smoothed my body with Royal Scent, a light perfumed French lotion. Then came the hard part. What to wear? I decided on a simple olive green trench dress with a cinched waist. The green accented my eyes. Remember, she has green eyes. Elvis liked me in peach, green, brown, and gray. The dress looked good on my 105-pound frame, but not too obvious. Another anguished debate followed. What shoes? Flats, low heels, or knock 'em dead 3 inches? 3 inches. Knock 'em dead 3 inches. Now they have knock 'em dead 6 inches. Forgetting subtlety or comfort, I went for the black 3 inches. She wants to look hot for him. She's doing the best she can. The flight was smooth. My stomach was turbulent. The anticipation was killing me. I tried to read a magazine, but my mind couldn't get beyond a sentence or two. When the seatbelt light flashed on, signaling we would soon land, I nearly fainted. What if I got sick and looked miserable? I rushed to the bathroom to check my face one last time, which was silly, because I knew Elvis wouldn't be waiting at the airport. Or would he? There was no telling what he would do. On the ground, I was approached by a chauffeur while waiting for my luggage. He was tall, rod straight, gentlemanly, and spoke with perfect diction. Are you Lucy? I have a car to take you to your destination. Despite his dignified appearance and manner, I was frightened. Elvis may have changed plans. Who knows where this guy was supposed to bring me? Maybe to a house full of people. Thank you, sir, but I've already made arrangements. He was surprised and insisted I go with him. The more he did, the more determined I was to resist. Finally, he threw up his hands and gave in. I waited until he drove away in his long limo before waving down a cab. When I told the driver, the Beverly Hills Hotel, please, he arched his eyes and went into a long history of the famous place. Seems many famous people stayed there, including Elvis Presley, and they always stayed in the same bungalows. Great. Same old Elvis. Mr. Discreet. The reporters would probably bang on the door a few minutes after I arrived. The taxi driver wasn't exaggerating. The bungalow was impressive. Lush carpeting, beautiful draperies, a silky apricot bedspread, a breathtaking bathroom with bronze faucets, and even a telephone. The window overlooked a lovely cluster of vines that were in full bloom. The setting was certainly seductive. I had to stay calm. Remember, it's August of 1967. So flowers were in bloom. The setting was certainly seductive. I had to stay calm. He was married and having a child. It would be wrong to infringe upon that. My happiness couldn't be built upon another's sorrow. My happiness could not be built on another's sorrow. She's definitely got morals. She's a stand-up woman. Turning from the window, I noticed a single red rose lying across the table. My mind flashed back 14 years. This rose contains all my love. How many nights had I lain in bed, dreaming of being in his arms, kissing him, holding him, making love to him again. Now he would be here, and I had to hold back. The woman staring back at me from the mirror was more mature than the teenager in Monroe. The eyes were still bright green, but they held more wisdom than before. Her hair was full, black, and shiny. He would be pleased with that. The makeup was light in French tradition of accenting beauty, not creating it. The perfume and body lotion were faint and fresh. The woman in the mirror looked good, but good enough? How did she compare to the other women Elvis had known? He would surely make a comparison. A light knocking at the door put an instant end to my mirror gazing and almost caused my heart to stop. On the other side of the door stood the only man I had ever loved. All right, I gotta take a breath before we go to the next part. Oh my gosh, the anticipation. I slowly opened it. For an instant, I was awestruck. Before me was the best-looking man I've ever seen in my life. He nearly took my breath away. His hair was long and tousled, not what I had expected. He had looked so peculiar in his wedding photo with his hair piled up in an old-fashioned pompadour style, as if he had been in a time capsule. The man at the door was totally different. He was definitely with it. His pants were black and tight. Finally, no more of those baggy pants he used to love. His bright blue shirt was open at the neck and had laces hanging down in rows on each side. His face was tanned and his jaw set and ready for anything. I just stood there staring. He was magnificent. Finally coming to my senses, I noticed he was staring just as intently at me. He made the first move, coming in and closing the door behind him without taking his eyes from mine. He grabbed me to him. We held each other so tight, as if we were afraid if one of us let go, the other would disappear. I could feel his body trembling, or was it mine? He slowly released me without letting me out of his reach. His eyes were tearing. He lifted up his hands and ran them both through my hair, then came close again. I could hear him inhaling deeply, taking in the fragrance of the shampoo. As he did, he squeezed me tighter, his thank you for my having remembered. His hand settled over both of my ears. The ear thing. It's good to see you, Elle, mon amour, I said, breaking the ice. I missed you so much. My Desiree, he whispered. He walked over to the bed and sat down on the edge. He clutched both my hands as he spoke. I thought I'd never see you again. I used to lie awake and wonder exactly how you died. I called a few times, all the old places, the TV station and the store, making up a story about who I was. Some people said you ran away with a singer. I knew that wasn't true, 'cause I must have been the singer. Some others said you died in a snowstorm, but nobody knew for sure. I kept calling, even after I came back from Germany. Then one day, someone at the store told me they heard you'd married a Texas oilman. That really hurt, baby. Knowing you got married, I tried to hate you. Before, when I was in Germany, a friend brought this little girl over one day. When I saw her, I couldn't believe my eyes. She looked so much like you, Lucy. She was all I had. I put my hand to his mouth. Shh. You don't have to tell me. I know you brought her to Graceland to be your wife. That hurt me very much, knowing you had gone back on our vows. The pain hasn't gone away. My marriage is a mariage de convenience, as we call it. It was security for my children. You had your life set by then. Nothing mattered. Lucy, you must listen to me. This girl was so much like you, and I was so lonely over there. I was attracted to her, and she liked me as a person, not a star. The way you did. Elvis was anguished. There had to be something else wrong, but I didn't want to put him through it. You don't have to explain. Yes, I do. You deserve that. I knew if you still were alive, you still cared. Our love was different. I don't know. You were gone. Mama died. I used to moan like a sick animal at night and cry myself to sleep. I needed somebody. All those girls in Hollywood the guys wanted me to be with, they just used me. They had no feeling. I needed something else. I couldn't find you, so all I had was the girl in Germany. When she came, I couldn't get myself to marry her. I kept thinking of you. I got trapped. The colonel suddenly arranged... Hold on. Sorry. The colonel suddenly arranged the marriage. He said it was best. Her parents were getting pretty mad. I do care for her, Lucy. I thought I'd never see you again. Neither of us knew what to say. We were silent a long time. "Elle," I said, touching his face with my hand, "it's your turn to listen to my story. It's been so long. There were many things you never knew about. I used to be beaten, sometimes very badly. When he found out about you, he almost killed me. Then he said you would die within a week if I ever saw you again. I had to go because I couldn't risk that. Not just for me, but for everyone. It was apparent even then that you were destined to be someone very special. I loved you more than life itself. Without you, I'd have no life. But I was just one person. I had to do what was best, not for me, but for everybody. Now things have changed. Again, you have to stand by your wife. Just pretend I died a long time ago. You must. It's the best thing." "No, it's not," he said firmly, shooting up off the bed and waving his hands for expression. "I can't let you go now. I still love you. That'll never change. I feel like I'm alive again." "Elvis, have you ever broken our vow never to tell anyone about me?" "No, I could never share you with anyone. The story is so complicated anyway. Who'd believe it? I don't talk to people much. I mean, I talk, but not like with you and Mama. It's different. The only person I talk about you with is God. I prayed that he would let me find you, and he's answered." He sat back down. He was so close to my face, looking into my eyes. He kissed me. It was a kiss of love, not lust. It couldn't be allowed to go any further. We couldn't betray our marriages. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know you must think I'm unfaithful, but I do love you. How's your marriage?" "Not good. We're different people. I was divorced and had children. I'm French and Catholic. It was too much, too different. But that doesn't matter. You and I can't hurt others because of our mistakes. You have to remember that." "What do you mean?" His eyes were dark and angry. Something was definitely wrong. "You're married and going to have a baby. She must never be hurt, especially not now. And there's so many involved in my life. I've been running and suffering for 10 years. I thought you didn't want me anymore. You had everything." "Stop that, Lucy. Didn't you listen to my songs? I told you if we were ever separated, I'd send you messages in my songs. Didn't you listen?" "I tried, but it was hard and it hurt. And there were all these stories about other women. You're the only woman I ever wanted. There might have been some others, but only a few. It's all a farce, just publicity and image building. Tell me you believe that." I wanted to hear you explain it so often. Each time I read about another girlfriend, I finally gave up. Nothing mattered. This was getting gloomy. I smiled and changed subject. "Look at us arguing. We never argued before." He laughed and changed the subject. "You remember when you told me to be careful about all those leeches who attach themselves to me? Boy, were you right about that. These people aren't my friends. There's only a couple who are. Charlie, he's good. I met him in the army. And there's Larry. He's real religious. He's got those gentle eyes. You told me eyes are the mirrors of the soul. Man, the colonel doesn't like Larry. The colonel doesn't believe in anything but money. That's his religion. The rest of the guys, they're the same, hard-hearted. But Larry, his eyes remind me of yours. He understands things, and he loves God. He's been helping me. And you know, they're trying to keep him away from me, just like they'd keep you away if they knew. I'm glad you have friends. That's important. What about your wife? Does she care for you?" "Sometimes, but not always. She's kind of restless and uncertain. She hasn't adapted to my lifestyle. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know. Anyway, tell me about you." "I teach religion to teenagers on Sunday, like Sunday school, but we call it something fancier. Confraternity of Christian Doctrine." When I lost you, I began studying at night and earned a certification. Teaching gives me satisfaction. You teach people about God? Man, I'd love to do that. We talked some more about Elvis's thoughts on religion. Some of it was confusing, but he was intense about it. He asked why I was living in Dallas and remained married, and I explained again that it was for the children. Why don't you let me help? I've got money. You've got to let me help. Let's not talk about that. You know me. If something comes free, it's meaningless. You know that. He got off the bed and began pacing the room. He was wound up about something. My life is so mixed up, and yours too. How did it get like this? Sorry, Ava jumped off the couch and chased a cat. Let me get back to that. He got off the bed and began pacing the room. He was wound up about something. My life is so mixed up, and yours too. How did it get like this? It's just the way it worked out. So what happens now? Will you disappear again? I walked to the window and gazed out at the vines. Nope, no more running. I've learned to turn and face my enemies. I'm not a little child anymore, and I'm not going to run away from love. We have to accept our destiny, whatever it is, and be happy. I can't accept anything except our being together, he said. Our lives crossed. Our love is written. No one can erase it, I continued. You helped me when I needed help. The memories of you kept me going. It has sustained me, but memories can't hold a person. They don't hug or keep you warm. They can't make love. He came over and embraced me warmly. I've fought my urge to want you physically, and I'm still fighting, I said. There are more important things that still can survive. Our love, our laughter, our trust. That's not an... Oh, wait, that's what she says. Wait, let me go back, okay? That was Lucy talking. He says, I can't accept anything except our being together. And she says, our lives crossed, our love is written, no one can erase it. You helped me when I needed help. The memories of you kept me going. It has sustained me, but memories can't hold a person. They don't hug or keep warm. They can't make love. He came over and embraced me warmly. And then Lucy continues, I've fought my urge to want you physically, and I'm still fighting. There are more important things that still can survive. Our love, our laughter, our trust. That's not enough. I want more, he whispered. Let me whisper it like him. That's not enough. I want more. You've touched my life and stayed. Others have come and gone, but you've stayed. I'm selfish. I've tried living without you. I'm tired of it. But I'll pray about it. I'll do that for you. We'll let God decide. He knows what's best. Isn't that what you always said? Yes, I can't argue with that. I've always believed God brought you to me. We returned to the bed and sat on the edge again. Elvis began talking about other things, rambling a bit, but confirming my suspicions that he was troubled. All this other stuff happening to me, I give myself to the public and those around me. They try to gain control, power. They can never control my mind. No one gets into my mind. I shut it off from everyone. There are things there that none of them know. No matter how close they think they are to me, they don't know me. Only you will triumph. You'll see. Maybe, I said, maybe one day. We're not on the final chapter yet. No, but I like to remember those early ones. You know, I'd give anything to start over. It was better then, when I was nobody and struggling. It's hard to explain, but it's better to fight. Once I reached the top, it wasn't any fun anymore. I can't figure it. You know, a lot of what I've done was influenced by you. Really? Yeah, really, he said, teasing me about my frequent use of that word. Remember that when they joked about really? And what was it that he would say? You know, and she would say, really? Yeah, really, he said, teasing me about my frequent use of that word. One day, I thought about us riding at the zoo. Remember that? So I decided to buy this ranch. Nobody else was interested in it much. The guys wanted to live the fast life in Hollywood. It was a nice place, but once I realized why I bought it, it didn't mean anything. You weren't there. Why didn't you listen to my songs? He continued. I kept thinking you'd hear the words and realize I was talking to you. Once I was singing, I'll remember you. And baby, your face was right there in the studio in front of me. I'll remember you. I'll get that song so you guys can hear it. I'll attach it to the text string because, oh my gosh. It's a tearjerker if you realize that Elvis is talking about her. I would love to have been in the studio. One day I was singing, I'll remember you, and baby, your face was right there in the studio in front of me. Work is all that keeps me going. The Colonel loves it. More work, more money. He keeps me so busy I can't think. Now it's movies, movies, movies. I hate these movies. I wish I could perform again. The Colonel wants religion out of my mind. If he knew about you, he'd blow. That's why I can't tell anyone. They tell him everything. Does anybody know you're here now? No, I can think for myself sometimes. Well, maybe you should go. They must be getting worried. Who? My employees? It seems like they're more than that. They think so. So what do we do now? I don't want you to leave. I have to. My life is somewhere else. I'm only as far as the phone. Will you call? When will I see you again? Whenever it's right. Remember, God is deciding. He'll let us know. You have Priscilla and your baby to think about. And you'll always have my love. Elvis, our love has given me something very special. Someday, when we can have a few stolen hours, I'll explain it. He never suspected I was talking about a beautiful 9-year-old girl. Elvis, you must go now. Why? We both know why. Things will be right, you'll see. We embraced. Elvis dropped to his knees and held me against his face. Bless. Just picture that for a moment. Elvis dropped to his knees and held her to his face. I placed my hands on his ears. Then he stood and we kissed. This is a new era in our lives, El Lancelot. Are you going to be here tonight? Yes, Princess Desiree will wait in her chambers so not a single sweet memory will escape. I'll call you later. And in the morning, did I tell you how good you look? Well, I was waiting. Have I changed much? You're as beautiful as ever. Your body is still great and your mind is even wiser than before. I'll show you how beautiful you are. He swept down and kissed me passionately. It came close to knocking the sensibility and guilt right out of me and making me give in to my desires. You must leave, sir, I said. Only for a short time, madam. This is a new era. You'll see. I lay on the bed after he left and wrapped my arms around myself, drinking in my newfound happiness. He hadn't changed much at all. The warmth in his voice, the tenderness in his eyes, it was all still there. I relived the whole wonderful afternoon, then drifted off to sleep. We'll go back and dissect some of this in a minute, but first of all, we're going to read the research from Larry. From the author. Charlie and Larry, the friends that Elvis referred to, are Charlie Hodge and Larry Geller. Hodge, a diminutive guitar player, met Elvis in the Army and performed with him off and on in the 1960s before settling in permanently. He was one of the few so-called Memphis Mafia members who survived the subsequent purges and was with Elvis until the end. Hodge is the man who held the microphone for Elvis during the 1968 comeback special, when the spontaneous jam session got cooking. He was also introduced during the 1973 Hawaii concert. He was the one I was telling you about that would give him, bring songs to him, and he was the one that told us that Elvis went through all the songs and listened to all the words, and he handpicked the songs. So he knew, even though he didn't write songs, he picked songs that meant something to him. So he was very aware of the words of songs he was singing, and he handpicked them because of what they meant to him. Charlie met him in Germany. He was the guy that was in the quartet before, and then he met him on the boat and was under him in the bunk under him on the way over and helped him with his grief over his mom, and would come over and helped. He was his voice coach in Germany and helped Elvis develop his voice to where he added an octave to his singing voice. And he was the one that Elvis had a room for him everywhere he went. There was a room for him at Graceland, a room for him at every house they were in California, and there was a room for him in the suite at where they stayed in Las Vegas. So Larry Hodge, I told you guys, was his hairdresser. Geller was Elvis's hairstylist. He was summoned to the King in 1964 when he was working for Jay Sebring, the hair salon owner who later died at the hands of the Charles Manson killers at actress Sharon Tate's house. Ugh. Dang. Wow, I forgot about that. Geller, a thin man with a mass of black hair, looked every bit the spiritualistic Swami he turned out to be. Far from practicing the traditional Christianity on which Elvis was raised, Geller was into the Theosophist doctrine of Madame Blavatsky, or whatever. Elvis became interested in theosophy from 1964 until about 68 or 69 and read numerous books on the subject. Geller was indeed a thorn in Colonel Parker's side. The colonel decided that the books were a distraction and ordered Geller not to proselytize anymore, going as far as having him watched when he cut Elvis's hair. Elvis eventually gave in to the colonel's wishes and helped burn the books. So Geller was a Christian. He believed in God. But this was a time in the 60s where there was, meditation, and there was just this different kind of searching and that people were doing in the 60s. It's kind of hippie-ish maybe, but it was a searching, and they were, just reading other books of different religions and just studying. Elvis never strolled from his Christianity and belief in God, but his mind was open. So he was just trying to find answers. And you know how you can pray and ask God for an answer and you just don't hear him? Sometimes you just don't hear him. He's not telling you what, he's just not saying. There's no writing on the wall. It's just, God is so subtle. Sometimes you just want the answer. Just tell me in words that I can hear. But so he was searching and trying to find the answers, and he was looking elsewhere. But yet he was still staying firm in his Christian faith and still reading the Bible, but he was just basically being entertained by these other stories. Elvis was a voracious reader, and he didn't read like nonfiction. He didn't read fiction. He read stuff, religious things, and things that would help him try to figure out life. And so Geller had done a lot of that already, and so he was able to help him. And they burned all of his books, and the colonel told Elvis he had to fire Larry in the late 60s. And so he did let him go, but he told him that it was not his doing. And so Larry understood, but then he got him back in the early 70s. And, of course, he got all his books back, too. Elvis is going to get his books back. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about the conversation that they had. So talking about when he was in Germany, and they brought that girl over. He said she looked so much like you, Lucy. A lot of people that didn't know Lucy thought that Priscilla favored Elvis's mom in her younger years. And also she favored, because Priscilla was trying to look like the actress in that first movie that Elvis had. He had developed a little crush on her, and Priscilla knew that, so she was trying to look like her. So she looked a little bit like that actress, and Deborah Paget, and also a little bit like Elvis's mom. And maybe Elvis didn't realize it right away, but I think he did say something one time about that he told his dad that Priscilla's eyes reminded him of his mom's. But right here in Elvis's words, he tells her that Priscilla looked like him. And remember I told y'all that when she came in, she was kind of standing behind Cary Grant when she came to meet Elvis. And when she stepped out to the side, he was sitting in a chair. They said he was sitting in a chair and had his leg kind of draped over the arm of the chair. She said he about fell out of the chair standing up so fast when she walked in. That he literally hopped out of the chair so quickly, and he was off balance because of the way his leg was, that it just knocked him off his rocker, basically. And then one time he walked into the kitchen and it had a swinging door, and he was peeking through the crack of the swinging door, and some of the people that were in the kitchen in there at that time said he was peeking at her through the crack, said, "Isn't she beautiful? She looks just like an angel." And he thought she looked like Lucy. And he probably was like, after thinking she was dead, and he saw her come in, it was like Lucy was coming back from the dead or something. I mean, it probably just blew him away. And he just needed someone to talk to so badly that, because he'd lost his mom, he'd lost Lucy, he just needed someone to talk to. And she walked in and she listened. Remember I told y'all? She just listened. And that's not really the way she was. She was a go-getter, and she was a wild child. But she wanted to impress Elvis, so she listened. And then, let's see what else. Right here it says, "I was so lonely over there. I was attracted to her, and she liked me as a person, not a star, like you did." That's because Priscilla was acting. She knew he was a star, but she was acting. She didn't know what. She was starstruck. She didn't know what to say. But she would just listen. And Cary Grant had told her, don't go and talk to him and say, "Oh, Elvis, I love this song. I love that song, blah, 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 blah." He said, "Don't act like that or you will not be invited back." So she didn't. So she was coached on how to act. And Elvis, bless his heart, was just swooned by her beauty and thought that she loved him as a person and not a star, which is not the truth. And let's see. Here he talks about, "If I knew you were still alive and you still cared, you were gone, Mama died. I used to moan like a sick animal at night and cry myself to sleep." And Charlie heard that. Yep. He needed somebody. Elvis needed somebody. That's one of the reasons he had all the girlfriends. Elvis needed to have someone with him. He had this loneliness that was so deep because of his twinless twin syndrome. And the two people that he loved the most, his mama and Lucy, weren't there anymore. The people that his mama would hold him. And Elvis, in practically every picture you see of him with his mom, he is touching her somehow. He's got his arm around her. He's got his hand on her knee or her arm, or she's touching him. She's holding him. Somehow they were very affectionate and touchy. And Anita said that when he passed away, in her book, when she passed away, they had to put a piece of glass over her coffin because he kept touching her. That may sound morbid, but he kept touching her. He didn't want to have the bottom part of the casket closed because he wanted to see her feet. He wanted to see her whole body and her feet. He didn't want anything covered up. and she wasn't wearing shoes, and her little feet were sticking out from the dress, and he would tell Anita, look at her little footsies, aren't they so cute? And he would hold her hand and touch her face, and so they had to put a glass over her coffin. So he was very touchy-feely kind of person. And so he wanted to hold someone at night when he was going to bed. And a lot of times, a lot of these girls that have written books and stories of, the girlfriends that lasted, a year or two or whatever, a couple months, they would talk about they wouldn't have sex, that he would just hold them. And maybe they would have sex some, but most of the time he waited. He would say, I'll wait until you're ready. And when you're ready, then, but most of the time they would like spoon, and he would just hold them. He just wanted to hold somebody. And he's talking about that right here. All the girls in Hollywood, the guys wanted me to be with, they just used me. So he felt used because he felt like they just wanted to be with him because of who he was. And it made him feel used. They had no feeling. And he needed something else. And he couldn't find her. So all he had was the girl in Germany. And then that's why he kept putting off marrying her. He wanted to find Lucy. He wanted to find Lucy. And he didn't want to marry Priscilla. He was trying to put it off so to give himself time to find Lucy. He kept thinking of you, and he got trapped. He got trapped because he promised Priscilla's dad that if she came to live with him, he would marry her. Okay, I'm just pushing that in and hammering it. Her parents were getting mad. The colonel said, you better marry her. And he did what the colonel said. All through his career, he just trusted that the colonel knew right. The colonel knew the business. So like with June, they talked about getting married, but he said, give me 3 years. I need 3 years to have my career. And then I'll fade away and we can get married. But the colonel says, I can't have a girlfriend right now. So, in our hearts, we can be boyfriend, girlfriend, but we can't tell anybody. And with Anita, he said, people can't know that I have a girlfriend. So like if we're taking pictures, you need to look the other way or pretend like you're not with me. So if you see pictures of them together, she's always like looking another direction. So that's what he said. The colonel said it was best. I need to marry her. And her parents are getting married, so they got married. He thought that she was dead. And he did care for her. And so he thought, well, once we get married, I'll be able to love her. But then she tells him her story. So she finally tells him why she ran. It's because the man had told her that he would kill her, he would kill the kids, and he would kill Elvis. So she ran. And she said that it's the best, that he needs to move on with his life and just pretend like she was dead. And he's like, no, that is not the best thing. I can't let you go now because I still love you. She's the only one he loves. He wants to be with her. And he feels alive again because he's feeling dead. He's running to the ground. His career is going the opposite direction that he wants. He's doing all these movies that he's not interested in doing. He wants to sing, but he can't sing because he's doing movies, 3 a year. He has no time to tour. He can't do anything. And so he's feeling unfulfilled. And now he thought he'd lost his only love. And he tells her that he now knows how he can never share her because he's got all these guys around him, but he's been around them long enough now to know that they're not his true friends. He can't really trust them because they tell the colonel everything. He feels like they're all listening and that they're all tattletelling on him. So anything he does, the colonel finds out. And he's like, well, the only people that know are these guys around me. And Elvis would do that. He would test people. He would say something to see if it would go anywhere. And so he would test people and tell different people things. And if someone else came back and told him something that he told someone else, then he would know that person, he couldn't trust him. So now the colonel finds out things, so he knows people are telling the colonel stuff. So he's like, I can't trust anybody. So I'm not about to tell anyone about you. It would just, the colonel would just have a fit. And she's like, she had known that all along. She's known that all along. He said, but I don't talk to people much. I mean, I talk, but not like with you and Mama. So he doesn't talk about the personal things with anybody else. And his Mama and Lucy are gone now, so he can't talk to them. So he said it's different. The only person I talk about you with is God. I prayed he would let me find you, and he's answered. Isn't that the sweetest thing? So he sat down, he kissed her, but it wasn't of love. It was of love, not lust. Let's see. Because he kissed her, he thinks that you must think I'm unfaithful, but I love you. And he asks, how's your marriage? And then she tells him, it's a marriage of convenience. And then he's like, what do you mean? Oh, you and I can't hurt others because of our mistakes. What do you mean? Because you're married, you're going to have a baby. And he's like, stop talking like that. Didn't you listen to my songs? So he reiterates again about her listening to his songs. And she tried, said it was hard. You're the only woman I ever wanted, even though she's talking about all the stories about the other women. And then he says, there might have been some others, but only a few. He's talking about you're the only woman I ever wanted. So he's talking about June is one that he really loved. Anita. So the ones that he really loved reminded him of Lucy. And he got close enough to them. And probably Anne Margaret was one too. So those are probably the three. Now he also loved a girl named, what's her name? Dang it. It was after he met Lucy, but it was that year they got separated. And she was having that baby, that man's baby, her third baby. And she was pregnant. He was going out with the girl that he met at church. And I forgot her name all of a sudden. But he went with her for about a year. She was 2 years younger than him. So he was dating her before he got famous. And he was actually dating her when he got famous. When he made That's All Right Mama, he was dating that girl. And they were going to get married. But when his career started taking off, they realized he was going in a different direction. She wanted someone at home where she could get married and have a baby and have a family. And so she let him go. But he loved her too. So I would say he loved that girl. And then he loved June and Anita and Anne Margaret. So those were the ones that he probably were closest to, that reminded him, that he compared to Lucy, and they were the closest. So, when he thought he wasn't going to be able to have Lucy, he was looking for other women. And then he said there might have been There might have been some others, but only a few. The publicity and image building was most of it. Tell me you believe that. And then he said, you remember when you told me to be careful about all those leeches who attached themselves to me? Boy, were you right. Those people aren't my friends. These are all his entourage. He says they're not really my friends. There's only a couple. So Charlie and Larry are the only two that he says are his real friends, that he can really, truly talk to. And then he's talking about Larry. He understands his heart. The other people are hard-hearted, but Larry, he has kind eyes because he's got God's countenance shining through him. And let's see, he asks about her marriage, and he talks about if Priscilla cares for him, and he said, well, sometimes, but not always. She's kind of restless and uncertain. She hadn't accepted my lifestyle yet. Or maybe it's something else, I don't know. That's because she doesn't connect with him at all on anything that's important to him. Family, God, treating other people nicely, trust, faith. She doesn't relate to any of that. Being true to others, caring for others, being kind. thoughtful of other people. None of that is Priscilla. So he's like, I didn't marry someone that I need to be with. And she teaches religion. He's like, wow, I would love to teach people about God. And then, remember, I told y'all this is that he wanted to be a monk. So he wanted to teach people about God. But he's not able to. So here he's like, God, you can do that. I wish I could do that. And he offers to help. There's some songs that he sings about. There's even a song, Does Your Baby Need a Daddy? I Can Help. Oh my gosh, I'm going to put that song in there too. He is definitely singing that to Lucy. So he wants to help, but she doesn't want any of his money. Again, she doesn't want his help. And then he's like, my life is so mixed up and yours too. How did it get like this? I want it to go back to the way it was. He wants to go back to things. Our lives crossed. Let's see. I want more. You've touched my life and stayed. Others have come and gone, but you've stayed. I'm selfish. I tried living without you. I'm tired of it, but I'll pray about it. I'll do that for you because she said, pray about it. God will decide. He knows what's best. And then, let's see, all this stuff happening to me. I give myself to the public and those around me. They try to gain control, but he's not going to let them in his mind. He shuts it off from everyone. There are things that none of them know, no matter how close they think they are to me. And so many of his entourage in their books that they write, Elvis, my best friend, and Elvis, my main man, all these people talk about they're his best friend because Elvis had a way of making people feel special. And they were his friends. Some of them were close friends, but not as close. He shut his mind down for a lot of them. But they don't know me. Only you know me. So he wasn't able to feel like he could truly be himself with everybody. But with Lucy, he could. He likes to remember the early days. I'd give anything to start over. It was better then when I was nobody and struggling. It's hard to explain, but it's better to fight. Once I reached the top, it wasn't any fun. I can't figure it out. A lot of what I've done was influenced by you. So, and then again, why didn't you listen to my songs? I kept thinking you'd hear the words. I realized hear the words and realize I was talking to you. And then he sang that I'll remember you, and her face was right in front of him in the studio. Work keeps him going. The Colonel loves it. The Colonel wants religion out of his mind. He hates the movies he's doing. So he's just kind of unloading. But anyway, so he leaves and she goes to sleep and he's going to call her in the morning. So that's where we are. So I'm sorry again for such a long one, but this one is crazy critical good. And I just wanted to go back and unpack the conversation. So anyway, but I'm done now and I will talk with y'all later. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, see ya. Bye.